Yeah, yesterday you probably heard me talking to the kids this morning, but I was quite heartened when I saw a big page from Best Buy that they were selling Advent Calendars. I think they were giving them away, actually. Isn't that awesome? That they're becoming very spiritual until you realize what it is they're doing. They want you to buy something every day during Advent. That's not what this is about. Advent is a time to be about preparation. You read the lessons this morning. It's about being prepared. And in the gospel reading, it compares it to a thief in the night. And it talks about the second coming of Christ. And in those days, when the Bible was written, most people believed the second coming was coming immediately, and it would come before their natural death. What I usually talk about with people is be prepared for your own dying. And guess what? You're a day closer today than you were yesterday. Just trying to cheer you up.
Yeah.
You know? You know that they have a blood test now? You can do a blood test, and they can tell you within 2 or 3 years how long you're going to live. How many want to take that blood test? What if in years to come they can tell you in a couple weeks? Most of us would like the death like my father had. At age 74, he cut the grass, came into the house, popped open a beer. I don't know if he had a sip or not, but he dropped over dead. We would all like a quick death, but unfortunately, that's not often the way things happen. A couple of people recommended this book to me, and I actually bought it. I have a receipt here. If you want to look at it. On Being Mortal. Excellent book written by a doctor, East Indian doctor, Atul Gawande. His father was also a doctor. They came from India. His dad came in the 20s or 30s. And anyway, it's a very interesting story. He's a surgeon, and he spent most of his 20 or 30 years being a surgeon doing what most doctors do. And that is trying to keep people alive as long as you possibly can. And that seems to be the standard medical procedure, standard practice. That's what they teach you. Keep a person alive as long as you can. And he discovered in his career that there's many loopholes with that. There's many problems with this philosophy. And they've done studies of doctors. And when doctors have bad news and they know there's no chance for a patient to survive what it is they have, the doctor looks at the person and reads whether they want the truth or whether they want good news. And the doctor will give them the news according to what they see. So oftentimes they say, well, it's not great news, but we have this, this, and this. And most doctors will recommend a number of procedures because people don't want to hear the words that there is no hope. But lots of times those procedures mean lots of different things, and many of them are bad. Even if there's a 5% chance, and they've done a study of patients too, and if there's a 5% chance of people going through this long procedure, surgery, radiation, and chemo, most people will take that 5%. And you know, if it's you or I, how do you know what you would do? How do you know what the right thing is to do? Another study they did, I forget the numbers, but let's say it was 100 people that had a similar diagnosis. It was a fatal diagnosis, and they took 50 people and put them in a palliative care situation where they had hospice people coming to the house, helping them along, talking to them about the dying process, helping to prepare them. And the other 50, they did extensive surgeries, chemos, the whole 9 yards. Guess which group lived 3 weeks longer on average? The first group. Very interesting. And guess which group had fewer visits to the hospital, to the nursing homes? And guess which group said at the end they had a better quality of life than the other. It was the first group. We are doing lots of research in this area, and it's time for all of us to change our understanding and our thinking about the death process. And rather than thinking about somebody else's death, you know what? You might as well think about your own. This is something that we cannot escape. I do maybe 20 things a day to live as healthy as I possibly can. I want to outlive my mother, who's 95 right now. But eventually, doesn't matter how well you live. What is there, a 112-year-old lady in Melfort? Yeah. It will catch up. And you might as well face it now, and that's what the lessons talk about. Be prepared. Now is the time to face these realities. And what is it that you can do? You know the spiel. You should have a will. You should have talked to somebody about what kind of service you want. You really have to decide whether you want to be cremated or buried. And if it's cremation, where do you want the ashes to be scattered? Those are the kinds of things that need to be done immediately. But there's other kinds of things that we need to do. We need to heal the relationships. You know, one of the reasons that we could talk about this and we could face this head on is because of our faith. Okay? The second reading says, you are closer to your salvation today than you were yesterday. That's how we have to look at it. We look upon death as a loss, that we have lost the battle. And that's why when we come to funerals, everybody's so sad, and it goes on, and we carry that sadness and that pain with us for a long, long time. The day after the Riders lost, I went to Costco, funeral parlor. Everybody's walking around. You know, we lost. Some people are still carrying it. And that's how we approach death. And if you lost, how many times in the obituaries do we read the words, they lost their courageous battle against cancer? We have to realize we don't lose when we die. We win when we die. It's not that shocking, is it, to say those words? We have to see that we're not losing when we die. We win when we die. When we die, we go to a beautiful place. A place 100 times better than we have here. A place when people who have died and come back and write the books, they almost say the same thing. We can't put into words the experience we had for those couple of minutes. So it's not a losing. We have not lost the battle. We win the battle. And somehow we have to muster up this understanding and this courage and go forth with joy in our hearts. And we as Christians have to believe that those who have gone before us are up there now. Okay? And they're not grumpy. They're not moping around because the Riders lost. Okay? They're smiling because Winnipeg won. They're smiling down upon us, and they want us to be happy. Because, you know, in a blink of an eye, we are going to be there too. And of all the preparations that we need to do, I think one of the most important one is to make sure that we are good here with those in our lives, particularly our family, particularly our children or our siblings. Make sure that we are good here. And I'm kicking around this, I'm brainstorming this, and I looked it up on the internet, and there is nothing. I should have him blank this out here so nobody steals my idea out of the internet. But, you know, people don't know what to say. People don't know how to resolve the conflicts or to say the right words to their children. Okay? I know the right words to say, so I'll write it for you. Okay? And for $3.50, you can buy a card, and it'll say all the right things. And it'd basically be this, okay? I did the best job I could as a parent. I loved you with all my heart and soul and mind. I probably wasn't able to express that You may not even have ever had a sniff about that because I didn't communicate it to you very well. But you have to believe that all I did and said was from a place of love. And forgive me for the mistakes that I made. And let's move forward. $3.50. Time to be prepared. It's time to do it now. Today's the day. Let's move forward.